If you're the typical YouTube watching audience, maybe you have a lot of acquaintances or online friends that you hope to develop into deeper friendships so that you can be closer friends or BFF. So how do you do this? Well, I'm sure if you think about it, you have a couple ways. Maybe you'll pretend to like the same TV shows so you have more in common. You could be friends with their friends in order to slowly edge into their life. You can buy them things so that they'll like you more. These are all interesting ideas, but is there a real, actual, reliable way to make a distant friendship into a closer friendship? And the answer is yes, and this is what this video is about. As a side note, I actually structure my videos like 5-paragraph essays from high school. Like that whole thing right there was just my intro, my thesis. And then I'm about to go into paragraph 1, which is my first point. Look, I actually worked really hard on these videos. This is just some of my notes I made before making this video, and I've actually scripted out everything I'm saying right now, every single word, on this note app. And look at all this footage that I've made that I'm not going to use. So I'm just saying these are real videos that I put time into. It's not just some stuff that I'm making up as I go. So what is friendship? Friendship is kind of a strange thing to define without any sort of context. So let's put it in relation to stranger. So that would be the opposite of a friend. So friends versus strangers. The difference is that you have more emotional intimacy and connection with a friend than a stranger. So all we have to do is increase the emotional intimacy and the connection you have with one person in order to become closer friends. So what determines connection and emotional intimacy? So there are chemicals that are released during social and bonding activities. I'm not going to list them. You can find a list on Google. But there's basically actual activities you can do to increase these chemicals. If you want to be really basic, here's a list of things you can do to increase bonding chemicals, to increase the closeness in a friendship. Eat spicy food together. Go on a adrenaline inducing activity, shoot guns or jump out of a plane, something like that. Laugh together. So those are all activities that biologically increase those bonding hormones in your system so that both you and the person you're doing this with will experience feelings of a deeper friendship after these activities. If you want to be a little bit less basic, that I have 2 main ways of getting more close with any sort of friendship that you have right now. So the first way I'm calling physical proximity or shared activities. So this is referring to assigned seats in the classroom, maybe going to the DMV and you're surrounded by strangers, but by the time you spend 4 hours in line and get to the front, you feel more of a bond with the strangers around you. Maybe going to the gym, people that you don't actually talk to, you just see, you see each other, each day, and then you just feel that feeling of companionship or solidarity without even having to actually interact. Because physical proximity is something that's very important in humans and releases social and bonding chemicals. Just the physical proximity must have been evolutionarily important for humans. This physical proximity thing is also why I think people have such close relationships with their pets. Just being, in the same room with your dog for 24 hours a day, both the pet and you are releasing bonding chemicals, and you feel that connection with the other living organism. The other part in the pet is that physical touch also enhances social bonding. But that's another topic. The second way you can get closer with a person, and for that person to also feel closer to you, is using your words. So this is talking about your hopes and dreams, aspirations, maybe childhood stories that you feel have been formative in your development. There's a lot of things that people can say that don't really contribute to closeness. If they do, then it's just due to the physical proximity part, So it's how do you say something that's meaningful enough to be counted towards this words method of gaining closeness in a friendship. So the way I've thought to define it is by anything that you say to somebody that they can hurt you with. Like if what you're saying gives the other person ammunition with which to possibly hurt you, then you know what you're saying is something that's like deep and meaningful to yourself and will elicit a connection due to, you know, the words that you're saying. An important distinction to make is that it's not the thing where you tell someone something that they can hurt you with and then you trust them not to, because they can do it. Like, people closest to you hurt you all the time, but you feel close to them anyway, you know, like. Another layer to this is that what if you tell someone something and that's, you know, very personal, meaningful to you, but they don't completely get what you're saying. Like, you know, maybe they can understand on like an objective level, but not on a really feeling level. Like if you're having some sort of problem with your religious faith and the person you're telling isn't even religious, they can understand it, you know, didactically. They can't understand it in like a deep feeling, connecting way. And in that case, you know, you don't get as much connection with the person who doesn't understand as a person who has a better understanding of where you're coming from. I think this is why people with similar backgrounds tend to become closer friends with each other. They have more of the same base of experiences from which to draw. An interesting thing about words is that I think it goes both ways. So if I share something with somebody very personal, I feel closer to them, but they also feel closer to me, you know, whether or not they share anything back to me. Sometimes when somebody is trying to share a story of something very personal that happened to them, maybe at a party, the people who are listening might tell them, hey, you know, I don't think you should tell this story right now, or, you know, I don't want to hear this. And unconsciously, the audience realizes by hearing this story, they're going to feel closer to this, you know, person. You kind of project your image of who someone is, and sometimes it's not congruent with who they actually are in real life. It's very hard to get along with everyone in the world, but I think it's important to feel like that social glue. So basically, if you want to go one step deeper into increasing the bonding chemicals in another person, you can use words and you can use physical proximity and shared activities. So just increase those two things and then you're going to have a new BFF.